Okay, good evening. I want to thank you for attending tonight's forum, and I want to thank the candidates for being here tonight to participate in this forum. I'm Maria Mark, president of Beaches Watch, and I will be tonight's moderator. In case you don't know about our organization, Beaches Watch is a nonpartisan, nonprofit civic organization that was founded in 2004. Our mission is to educate and involve citizens in the decisions that affect the future of our beaches communities of Atlantic Beach, Jacksonville Beach, and Neptune Beach. Beaches Watch does not endorse candidates, and since 2004, we have been hosting nonpartisan candidate forums so voters can learn more about the candidates and make an informed decision when you vote. As an added service, we have posted additional election information on our website. Information includes candidate websites and candidate answers in writing to questions on specific Jacksonville Beach issues and concerns. Those will be posted tomorrow after tonight's forum. We will also be posting the video from tonight's forum on our website, and we hope you will encourage anyone who did not attend tonight's forum to please watch it before they vote. Additionally, there are numerous amendments on your ballot. Jacksonville Beach has 4 charter amendments. Duval County has 2 charter amendments, and the state has 6 constitutional amendments. So we have also provided information about the 4 Jacksonville Beach charter amendments as well as the county and state amendments. We hope you will visit our website at beacheswatch.com to take advantage of these resources we are providing you so you can make an informed decision when you vote. Tonight's forum format. So tonight's forum will last about 1.5 hours, and all candidates will have 2 minutes to answer each question and 2 minutes for closing statements. There will not be time allotted for rebuttals. However, candidates can use a portion of their question response time to provide rebuttal to a previous question. If you wish to submit a question to be directed to all candidates, you can enter your question in the Zoom chat box. Please understand that due to the limited amount of time, we may not be able to ask all the questions submitted by the audience. At this time, I would like to introduce our candidates. Our mayor candidates are Chris Hoffman and Janelle Wilson. At-large seat 1 candidates, Fernando Meza and Francis Pavlovsky. And at-large seat 3 candidates, Ken Marsh and Chet Stokes. The order that the candidates will be answering tonight's questions was determined prior to the forum, and the order will be rotated to allow each candidate the opportunity to answer a question first. So candidates, if you are ready, we will begin with our opening question, which is, what qualifications in terms of education, experience, and prior community service, particularly here at the beaches, do you bring to your candidacy for public office?
We will start with the mayor candidates. Chris Hoffman will be first, followed by Janelle Wilson.
Thank you. And first of all, I want to say thank you to Beaches Watch for organizing this forum. It's always a challenge to reach out to and meet voters during campaign season, especially difficult this year. So thank you to the organizers and for everyone who is tuning in right now and will be watching this in the future. In addition to my 8 years of service to the City Council as a regular council member and the past 2 years as a mayor pro tem, I've had most of my career in nonprofit. So I worked for the American Cancer Society as the executive director for 4 years here at the beaches, and I have been the director of the Beaches Museum for the past 6 years. In addition to my service in my career and to the city, I always try to be active in the community with various nonprofit organizations. I was on the board of BEAM for 3 or so years as their fundraising chair and was one of the founders of the Beach Ball, which was a gala that raised a significant amount of money for BEAM, which provides emergency services to people right here in our community. I also am currently on the board of the Rotary Club of Jacksonville Oceanside. I'm on the board of Baptist Medical Center Beaches, and I'm on the board of the Volunteer Life Saving Corps. So those are just a few of the extracurricular involvements that I have. My educational background is I went to Fletcher High School, so I graduated from our island's only high school. I went to the University of Florida and got a degree in criminology and political science. And I reached my MBA at UNF in 2012. So all of those things combined, my educational, professional, and my extracurricular experiences makes me more than qualified to run and to serve as your next mayor in Jacksonville Beach.
Thank you. Janelle Wilson.
Good evening. I'm Janelle Wilson, and I'm running for mayor of Jacksonville Beach. I would also like to thank Beaches Watch for providing this forum, and especially with the pandemic. It's very difficult to get your voice heard, and this is one great opportunity. My background is that I have had my own real estate business at the beaches for over 40 years. I also served on the Jacksonville Beach City Council for 8 years. The last 4 of those years, I was mayor pro tem, having been elected by my peers. I also was the vice chairman of the redevelopment agency several years ago when we expanded the downtown redevelopment area, and I was also vice chairman when we incorporated the South End redevelopment area. So I was very instrumental in that. I've also served as the chairman of the Beaches Chamber of Commerce. I've served on the Planning Commission downtown Jacksonville and chaired the Water Sewer Expansion Authority for several years. In addition to that, I also served as soccer coach and team mom for my son, Tyler Snobble, when he was growing up here at the beaches. While on the council, I voted to keep property taxes low and advocated for private property rights. I was instrumental in getting our city council meetings live streamed and taped, and so that you could view them later. The large screen that you see at the council meetings was due to my actions when I first got on the council. I was a voice for business owners on actions that affected them and other things, as well as the citizens and things that were passing that they needed to be aware of. I tried to involve the citizens in having a voice with the city. I helped set budget decisions that made our city debt-free this year. And this was a concerted effort to balance our budget each year without the increase in taxes. I also supported events that are family-friendly, ran out of time, such as the monthly art walk, the car show, Deck the Chairs, and the July 4th celebration. Thank you.
Thank you. Fernanda Meza.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Beaches Watch, for hosting this and for adapting to these unforeseen circumstances and having this forum virtually and allowing some of the residents to actually view this from home and not having to leave the comfort of their own home. Every candidate here right now has unique experiences, professional and personally. Of course, I have my own personal and professional experience that I bring to the table and why I believe I am fit to be a city council member. Born and raised in California and Los Angeles, survived the LA riots. Both my parents instilled strong family values, work ethic, which is why I look up to my parents a lot. A lot of my work ethic comes from them. You know, if I have to put in the hard day's work, then I would do that. Whether it's physically, mentally, on a computer, I would do that. I'm a graduate from University of North Florida. I received my degree in political science. I've been involved with this community from being a mentor at Take Stock, children, attending city council meetings regularly, voicing my opinions, concerns, ideas to any workshops in regards to the vision plan for Jacksonville Beach. Currently, I am serving as the Board of Library Trustee, representing the Beaches Branch Library. Professionally, I started my career in the Navy. That's how I ended up here at beautiful Jacksonville Beach. I was an aircraft director, which was one of the most dangerous jobs anyone can have right now. Been working locally here since 2005, fell in love with the beach, got to know Jacksonville Beach more in depth, and here we are.
Excellent. Thank you. Francis Pavlovsky.
I also want to echo everyone. It's wonderful that you guys were able to think outside the box to help this forum that you guys do every single election cycle happen. So I do appreciate that, and everyone who's decided to tune in and will watch this later. My name is Francis Pavlovsky. I am running for seat 1 at large for Jacksonville Beach. I am a longtime resident. My family moved here in 1990. So I have lived at the beaches from every aspect that you can, from teenager all the way through being a business owner myself. As far as my education and experience, I am a planner by professional career, and I am very involved in the community. So when it comes to my experience and what I'd like to bring to the council is, when you're a planner by nature, you kind of have to think at things full scale. So I like to not look at the very small details, but I can see how details affect multiple facets of the city. For instance, any decision made on council or any decision made on the CRA affects our police department and how they actually have to perform going forward. So I'm able to think broader picture that way. So that's kind of an experience professionally that I can bring to the plate. As far as my personal involvement, I did join the CRA 8 years ago, the Community Redevelopment Agency for downtown. I did that because I wanted to see where the city was, and I'm a big believer in giving back to the community. In that aspect, I've actually also included some PTO time for my employees to donate to their time to our local charities, as well as I do support them myself, including everything from cleaning the beaches to helping the Fletcher High School concession stands to joining the police academy. I did the Citizens Police Academy just to get more knowledge of the area. So I do believe that my deep care community and my actual involvement in the community does help me have a perspective that will keep it local, but also let it grow. Thank you.
Thank you. Ken Marsh.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Beaches Watch, for setting this up tonight. I am Ken Marsh, running for seat 3 at large. Regarding the qualifications, I'm going to start with the obvious, that I am the most experienced candidate running in this seat right now. I have 36 years as a career railroader, 25 of which was spent in management. And in that management career, I led many teams to deliver results. We did this primarily by creating plans, creating timelines, holding each other and ourselves accountable to make those results happen. That's the kind of structure that I want to bring to City Council. When I retired from CSX in 2009, I started to go to City Council meetings on a regular basis, and found it very interesting, but it was where I saw opportunities for the City Council to improve. I would hear them say some things and they would fall down the rabbit hole. I saw where there were discussions of downtown, but it didn't get executed. And being the kind of guy that wants to get things done, I felt it was time for me now to get in the race. I've been a homeowner here since 1995, so 25 years. So I'm fully invested in Jacksonville Beach. From an education standpoint, I've got a Bachelor of Arts degree in Human Resource Management and an MBA from Jacksonville University. I look forward to being on council, taking the structure and making things happen and implementing that in our City Hall. Thank you.
Thank you. And Chet Stokes.
Hey, good evening. Thank you for having me. Chet Stokes, candidate for Jacksonville Beach City Council, seat 3. Real quick, educationally, I want to thank my mom for instilling a Christian education into me. In high school, I went to Episcopal High School. Then I went to Auburn University, where I majored in political science. While there, I interned on Capitol Hill for Andrew Crenshaw, which was one of the best experiences that I've had in life to date. I was raised on hard work, and for that, I want to thank my dad. He gave me a solid background in business, real estate, and real estate development. And right now, I'm currently the business owner in Ponte Vedra, managing partner of Marsh Country Club, where I'm the general manager, and a part owner in a real estate company there as well. I believe my work has prepared me for city council. It has prepared me for managing priorities at work. I have to make sure that I manage the priorities of our staff, of our members. I feel that's very similar to city council. Working within budget, we just became debt-free as of today. I have to make sure that we stay on budget throughout the year when issues arise. You'll never go a year without some issue coming up. This year it was COVID, an unforeseen issue, but to make sure that we stay on budget throughout the whole process. And then interacting with special interests is a big one at work. It is members and guests. In city council, it's constituents, residents of the community, businesses, all with their own agenda on how to make this a better city. And it's all about managing them, managing the priorities, and making sure that whatever you do is the best interest for the collective as a whole. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Our next order will be Francis Pavlovsky, Fernando Meza, Chet Stokes, Ken Marsh, Janelle Wilson, and Chris Hoffman. Okay, so the next question is, what are the two most important issues facing Jacksonville Beach, and how would you propose to address those issues? Please be specific.
I'm writing it down. Give me 1 second. Okay, so the two things that I think are extremely important in our beach area that I would like to see addressed, and I feel like it's been a continual discussion point throughout many election cycles. And one of the reasons why I got involved in the CRA to begin with is our downtown area. I do think one of our biggest issues, and probably one of our, in my personal opinion, biggest hurdles we're going to have to continue having a community in Jacksonville Beach is to not diversify our downtown. If we don't diversify it to make it to where locals want to go, instead of avoiding it, then that is going to be a problem, because it is the heartbeat of our city. There are ways to do that. I've been on this area trying really hard to get the infrastructure done, to make sure that the next stage of development is ready to go. And I do think that it's ready for that kind of growth. It's just important that that growth is diversified and local friendly, to where locals like it more or just as much as the tourist per se. So that is number one for me. Number two is the idea of community. I know that everyone throws around, family friendly, and I'm not trying to be the cliche by saying this, but I do think family friendly is more a result than it is a goal or what we do. So for me, family friendly, what I'd like it to be is, if you look at our residential areas, for instance, if you can make the residential areas where they're more, they're safer on the streets because they're not as crowded, if you can make traveling from those neighborhoods to destinations in our beaches to encourage people to get out of their homes, locals out of their homes to enjoy the actual things we have and assets we have in our beaches, I think that would be number two for me, is to make our local neighborhood streets a little bit more safe and make people encouraged to leave those areas. And if I have just a few more seconds, I'd like to address how we also talk to our residents in regards to their code violations as well. So that'll be my third. Thank you.
Thank you. Fernando Meza.
There's more than two issues, I would say, but they all correlate with each other. The first one is public safety. It's making sure businesses, residents, tourists are safe. And if we can't keep any of that safe, we can't attract anything to come to Jacksonville Beach and open up, such as businesses or new development. With that being said, if we can't stand behind our police department, making sure they have the tools they need to accomplish the job, and to retain good police, then that's something that we should talk about, and this community deserves it as well. The second thing is the vision plan of Jacksonville Beach. If we could improve our public safety and make sure that not just the police department, but the elected officials have a good relationship with the voters and the businesses, I think our vision plan will start falling in place. The Central Business District needs major help. We need to attract new types of businesses, whether it's restaurant. I would love to see a North Beach Fish Camp or something along the lines in that area. Right now, we have plenty of bars, but we need to attract these places that will bring other people from Jacksonville Beach, not just the young crowd, but people with families, people with kids, grandparents that want to come down. And also, if they're going to come down, they have to feel safe. That is just one of my two issues right now.
Thank you. Chet Stokes?
Yes, so the two most important ones for me are addressing our downtown, our central business district, especially, and then public safety. On the downtown, I think we need to really create something that's for everyone, that incorporates everyone here at the beach, gives everyone here something to do. When we did the vision meetings before COVID, it was a consensus that that's one thing that everybody feels like we are lacking, is a central area for all of us to congregate and things for us to do. We have a great entertainment nightlife scene, but that's a small portion of our population, and mostly not locals. What do we locals need? We need retail shopping, we need restaurants, we need things for us to do to bring everyone into our downtown and make it a viable economic hub, make it the central business district that it really should be. All of this is moot without public safety. Everything that we need to do has to have that public safety in mind. I support, our police. Getting them more officers is needed. One thing that they continually say is that, they feel like they're understaffed. They work long hours. Pay is low. You can make more as a corrections officer somewhere than as a Jacksonville Beach Police Department officer. I don't feel that's very, very fair for these guys that are putting their lives on the line on a continual basis. We got to have stronger patrol, more vigilance by our police, help to deter crime, and make sure that they know Jax Beach isn't a place where criminals can come in, and doing everything we can to support that effort will help increase the downtown viability as well, because we'll feel safer going downtown. There will be more to do, and we'll feel safer doing it.
Thank you. Ken, Marsh?
Yes, the two top priorities for me are very much linked. The first being safety, and the other being the downtown. Obviously, the foundation of any good community is that the people feel safe and secure and free from harm. Unfortunately, our downtown is a magnet for crime. 90% of the crime that happens here in Jacksonville Beach comes from outside our community. Since 2013, we have doubled our police force from 5 to 11. That's just to the downtown. We have doubled our budget from $500,000 to $1.2 million just for the downtown. The downtown last year had 700 crimes, 620 misdemeanors, 70 felonies. Folks, we're drawing the bad crowd. And it is a credit to our police department that they are able to control the chaos that is down there now. But we, City Hall, have to help them out. I hear folks talking about the downtown. Since 2009 in my involvement, I have heard about the downtown, and you're going to hear about the downtown again. Let me just show you. This is what's supposed to be our pier. That's part of the 2007 vision plan. That is not a place that attracts criminals. Folks, it's not about transforming the downtown. It's about executing the vision plan. And that's why I'm in this race. We've got to take action. We cannot afford to keep coming up with plans that sit on the shelf and collect dust. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Janelle?
I guess I'm like a broken record. I have to ditto a lot of what was said previously. Of course, number one priority is public safety and having a city that's safe to walk any time of the day or night and for businesses to operate safely. Of course, in with that is that our downtown area attracts a lot of the late night things that go on because of over drinking, and we need to get with I guess, as Ken said, revisit our vision plan for the downtown. And I don't mean spending more tax dollars in recreating another vision plan. We simply need to involve our citizens and our community and businesses and revisiting the plans and updating the plans that we have for the downtown area. And then, as I stated previously, I've supported a lot of the things we do that are family friendly, such as the art walk, the car show, and 4th of July, those type of things, concerts. But we also need to, be aware of the other parts of our community, the safety and what's going on there also. Second thing would be involving the citizens of our community and giving them a voice and letting them know what's going on, and our businesses. Several times there have been things that have passed that the citizens have not really had a voice in, or the businesses. And one of the example of that is our fire department merger. A lot of our citizens were opposed to that, but they did not have a voice. And that's why I'm hoping that the referendum will pass, so that anything major such as the police department merger or the Beaches Energy would have to go before public referendum of the voters. So again, public safety, number one, and involving our community and our citizens. Now, one other thing, I think that, speaking with some police, that if we had a citizens group and involve the police in brainstorming, and such as the sessions that Mike Sapopoulos has had, we could come up with some solutions to help our downtown and our crime problem. Thank you.
Thank you. And Chris Hoffman.
Thank you. I'm not going to be a broken record, and it's not because I don't agree with everything the candidates prior to me have said in terms of the priority areas. But if I have to narrow it down to two issues or challenges, I would say they're broader for me. And as a council person, one of the biggest areas of focus is balancing the needs of our community against the resources that are available to us. And the other issue I would say is paramount is planning for our future. So in terms of balancing the needs of our community, we have constant pressures on our budget in terms of increasing costs and also challenges to the income that is coming into the city, whether it be funding from the state level, anything to do with ad valorem taxes, things like that. So the income is always a challenge to protect and keep the state and county and other sources of funding stable, so that we can continue to provide the level of service and quality of life that our residents are accustomed to. So, but at the same time, the costs of everything, as you all know, are going up, particularly making sure that we stay fully staffed in our important departments, police being one of them. So I think those all go hand in hand. In terms of making sure that the needs are met, at the same time providing those quality of life items like parks and rec, golf course, things like that our residents enjoy. Planning for the future, making sure that we're ready and aware of how sea level rise, storms, things like that are going to impact our community, as well as a very rapidly changing technology, rapidly changing practices of how people do business. What types of business we see coming into our community, how we communicate with our citizens, making sure that we keep up on all of those fronts, overarches to all of the other issues.
Okay, thank you. The next order will be Ken Marsh, Chet Stokes, Chris Hoffman, Janelle Wilson, Fernando Meza, and Francis Pavlovsky. So the question is, kind of leading in, is if next year's budget shows a shortfall, what adjustments would you propose?
Yeah, it's a good lead-in question. And I think we can feel pretty secure that with the COVID recession that we're going to have some budget adjustments that are going to need to be made. Some that we haven't seen since 2008. There's been a reduction in the sales tax here in Florida, which means that's going to be a reduction here in Jacksonville Beach. So I think it's pretty safe that we're going to have some budgets that we're going to have reviewed. And as I mentioned earlier, my experience with CSX, at the time I was there, it was a $10 billion company. I had to deal with $50 million budgets and find ways how to squeeze money out and keep the efficiencies going. So I've got that experience. As far as how we look at opportunities to get money, I hope we're not talking at a millage increase here. I think we need to be looking at ways internally how we can do things effectively and more efficiently. We've got 21st century problems that we're trying to deal with 20th century solutions. We can use technology to be better, smarter, and cheaper. So that's just some examples. I'd also like to touch on if we run into budget issues, we also can, I'd like to explore the interlocal agreement. The last time that we had a hard review of that was in 1996. I'm not suggesting that there's any inequities here. However, if you look at our tax dollars, 40% goes to the city of Jax, about 40% goes to the school board, and only 20% goes to Jacksonville Beach. So on this interlocal agreement, 40% of our money goes there, and we need to be comfortable and we need to have an accounting on how that money goes out and what we get for those services. Thank you.
Thank you. Chet Stokes?
Hey, so, the best way I feel to help prevent any shortfalls next year and beyond, looking into the future, is to help attract businesses to Jax Beach. I think the best way to keep our individual property taxes low are to have supplemental tax come from local businesses. We can provide incentives to draw these businesses in. That way we can start getting those dollars into our city, create an economic hub here in Jax Beach. We talked briefly on the Central Business District earlier. Let's enhance it, make it an actual business district, make it the economic hub of Jax Beach, grow our local economy. Another thing that is, if we do have a severe shortfall, we should unite as the three beaches and look at our agreement with the city of Jacksonville. We just touched on it, that we're only getting 20% roughly back from the city of Jacksonville. What do they provide for those services? Do we feel like we are getting a fair share here at the beaches for all that we contribute to the city of Jacksonville? We're one of the largest tourist draws. When you see Visit Jacksonville, what do you see? You see our beaches. That's a huge draw for the city of Jacksonville. And I believe that, we should make sure that we feel we're fairly compensated if the issue arises, and even just looking ahead to the future of Jacksonville Beach.
Okay, thank you. Chris?
Thank you. This is a great question, and the good news in Jacksonville Beach is that our city staff has already started thinking about this. In fact, they were thinking about it probably always thinking about it, but as soon as things started to shut down with the pandemic, our staff immediately started looking at expansions of our staffing and things like that were slated for this coming year, and put a lot of things on hold. And I think that was, it's something that our city has done for a long time. Our former city manager, George Forbes, used to use the chess analogy, that he's always looking 5 moves ahead to be able to anticipate when a funding source may run out, anticipating. And I know anybody who's in business or government right now was already anticipating a turn in the economy. We didn't expect it to be so dramatic, but we knew it was coming at some point. So I will give our city staff and the leadership of our city over many, many years credit for making sure that we have a strong reserve and making sure that we are always looking ahead to how we can mitigate any economic impacts, negative impacts on our city. So I'm very proud to be a part of that and continuing that tradition in our city. Being debt-free right now is a big deal, and that eliminates a debt service payment from our budget. So that really helps a lot. The other thing I wanted to mention, and I didn't neglected to mention it when I was talking about my experience, is that I've served on our pension board for the past 8 years as part of the General Employees Pension Fund. And our pension fund is very, very well managed. When we look at some of the other cities that are really struggling, I'm very proud to say that all three of our funds are well over 80% funded, and it just reflects that very sound fiscal management that we have here in our city. So hopefully we can continue that as long as possible into the future.
Thank you. Janelle?
Okay, as all of you probably know that have been to city council meetings, I've always been the one that says no new taxes, do not raise taxes. And I think that even though we're faced with probably a shortage, you know, we as a community, we as families, we as individuals, we have to run our households and make adjustments to the budget, the money that we have coming in. And I think the city should look at doing the same thing. We should not overburden the people, the citizens that are already struggling because of the recession and put increased tax on them. We should try to keep our taxes the same millage rate and work with evaluating our city staff and where we can cut. And of course, first priority would be public safety. We need to make sure that we fund the police and the safety aspects, and then other things that are important in our community. And of course, parks and recreation, which is an area we need to address, but that's would not be top priority if we're looking at a real budget shortage. As I've mentioned before, I've been in business at the beaches for over 40 years. Shortly after I resigned from my teaching position to open my office at the beach, my real estate office, we had a recession. I had to adjust my business plan accordingly. And over the last 40 years, we've had numerous ups and downs in the economy, and I've had to make adjustments to accommodate this. So I definitely think the city needs to live within the parameters of where the money that they have coming in and make adjustments accordingly. Thank you.
Thank you. Fernando Meza.
Very good question. If we were to go into a budget shortfall, one of the first things that I would do is not take a paycheck. It's a very minimal salary, but it's the thought that counts, and hopefully others will follow. I would love to see us exhaust all of other resources, way to bring extra income before we even talk about raising taxes. The last thing residents and business owners need is an increase in taxes. Right now, for example, businesses are hurting for money. You know, including my business, we were shut down for over 115 days. We had to cut down staff hours, cut down on a lot of the product that we order, and we made it work. And we were ready to make some sacrifices to keep the business alive, meaning cutting other expenses that weren't necessary, whether it was live entertainment. But one thing we didn't want to cut short of was staffing, as to keeping guests safe. And right now, hopefully next year, we will see a stronger and thriving economy, not just locally, but around the country. And hopefully that will help our budget shortfall if we go into that scenario. Thank you.
Thank you. And Francis Pavlovsky.
Thank you. So I've been in finance for just shy of 20 years. And in that profession, you have to look at multiple scenarios, and you have to figure out where you're going to go for the short term and long term. So I think that when it comes to a shortfall in the budget, I do that almost every single day for people personally. So I'm not trying to say that I'm the best person in the world about it, but I understand that you have to sometimes look at things a little differently. In the questionnaire that you guys gave us, you'll see more detail as to where I would look in the budget specifically if it came down to reducing the budget specifically. But as a whole, as a business owner, and I'm going to repeat basically, Fernando, when you're a business owner and you value your employees, you find ways to make things work, and you can do that in the city as well. I do not believe that there's any reason to increase the mills tax. I pay double tax downtown. We pay personal taxes in our real estate that we owned. So I am not at all involved or wanting to increase taxes. But when it comes to the budget and any kind of shortfall, there are spots in the budget you can look at first. And then if for any reason there are no ways to limit the money or the income that we have, I do think that you should look at stopping any capital improvement project or pausing it. And some people may not agree with this, but if you have a capital improvement project that is still out there, or you really need to do it to support what the community needs, you can explore muni bonds and maybe do some adjusting in the budget to redirect funds to support the staff that you need. So it may not be everyone's favorite topic, but we can utilize those. So it's just something to think about as well if it comes to that. But I do think that our government has done a wonderful job getting us in the position we are today. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next order will be Janelle Wilson, Chris Hoffman, Francis Pavlovsky, Fernando Meza, Chet Stokes, and Ken Marsh. And the question is regarding height limit. If elected, would you take any actions to change the height limit that was approved by 76% of the voters? If so, what change would you support? Janelle?
Okay. Good question. I was on the redevelopment agency when that was when it was voted in, and I would like to see us meet with have citizens groups and business meet together to look at this. I mean, I'm not advocating that we do it, but the citizens would ultimately have to say so in this. It would have to be another voter referendum, is my understanding. But maybe we should just look at just the downtown area east of 3rd Street or from 2nd Street to 3rd Street in the redevelopment area, and maybe just north of Beach Boulevard or something. So, but again, that would be up to the citizens of Jacksonville Beach what they wanted to do. And I would fully acquiesce to whatever the thoughts of our citizens would be on that. Because, there's both sides of it. We don't like to have the shadows on the beach. And we've got several buildings that do that now. And there's been a lot of praise for our city because we have, not that many high rises compared to other areas. So that is a good thing that has come from this. But maybe we should, and I'm not saying if we revisited just the downtown area that it should be, something really high, to maybe increasing to, 4 stories or 5 stories max, or something reasonable, and not on the ocean, but maybe west of 1st Street or something. But again, I would put that in the hands of our citizens for them to make the decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Chris?
Thank you. This is a great question. And I think that my stand on the issue would be if it came out of a very specific planning process with regards to our community redevelopment agency and our downtown development area, that a piece of the puzzle to make the vision come true for our downtown area would be to relook at the height allowance. I would never advocate for an increase anywhere else other than the downtown, and I also would not support an increase higher than 50 feet. However, if the work that we're about to do on our downtown vision, as well as the review of our land development code, leads us to the result that this is the right thing to do for the future of our community, our downtown area is designed for higher density, then that's something that we should look at. I think that the citizens of Jacksonville are still seeing results of earlier lawsuits with buildings going up over 35 feet. I think we still have a couple more properties that are going to be able to do that. And quite frankly, I think it's an advantage for those buildings, certainly. So they're not going to not take that advantage. And I feel if we look at that downtown area within the construct of our community redevelopment agency and our land development code, that may be something that will benefit the entire community. And in that case, I would support reviewing that area. Thank you.
Thank you. Francis?
I have absolutely no problem with the height limit at all. What I do have a problem with is in specifically the downtown area is if you're going to limit the height, then you're also going to limit the amount that they can build out on the property and the percentage they can build on, and require them to have so much parking. There is no value to any builder to build anything downtown at all. So in that aspect, and what I have been fighting for 8 years now, is we need to support our downtown by doing centralized parking, which is a purview of our downtown development plan. Now, if you centralize your parking and you provide the parking for local, just very close properties to that parking lot, and you say, hey, if you can use that as an incentive. If you have certain building requirements, and if you make sure certain parts of this are, pedestrian friendly, and you have a certain amount of your property covered in vegetation, and we will let you build out more percentage of your property, and you won't be required to have parking because we will provide it for you. And you have to build it underneath 3 feet, or 3 stories. That I would be cool with. I do have a problem with a height restriction, a limited amount of space you can build, and all the parking you have to have. Sorry, I get sometimes to get a little bit hot. So when it comes to downtown, I have no problem with three stories. Perfectly fine. But we have to talk about other ways to incentivize the builders to bring the community we want to visit on our bikes. Just saying. Thanks.
Thank you. Fernando?
Yes, the voters spoke in 2004, if I'm correct, when it was on the ballot. I was deployed. The voters spoke. The only way I would bring it up is in the central business district. That's the only way to look at it. If whatever builder wants to come in, if it fits the vision plan of Jacksonville Beach. Now, the real focus is probably not just the height limit, shouldn't be the height limit, but keeping the businesses downtown and also preventing the people that park in that area from parking on the other side of 3rd Street where you start getting into residential homes. I talked to a lot of those neighbors, and their number one fear is it's more an overdeveloped downtown where there's no parking. And where do people go to park? Well, they're going to go to people's yards, and that's the one thing that we should prevent from happening. But I think the height limit has been spoken by the voters, and if we need to bring this up, it needs to be how it will benefit Jacksonville Beach. But it should keep it in the central business district and not let it go into the north or the south end or the west side of Jacksonville Beach. Thank you.
Thank you. Chet?
Hi, yes. Our voters spoke. Over three quarters of them wanted to keep it at 35 feet. And, as a property owner east of 3rd, I'm thankful that that's the case for the Seabreeze. I think that's a great asset to our community. We'll echo a little bit on the central business district, though. It's an area worth examining at the very least. And, if it gets to a point, it should go to a vote as to whether our citizens want that in the central business district only, in my views. But, we talk about wanting to create more in our downtown. We talk about wanting to add mixed use to our downtown. Well, to do that, you have to be able to support it in a 35-foot height limit in our CBD, in our downtown area, doesn't support creating a mixed use area. So that would be, if that's the route that we want to go in our downtown, then I think that is one thing that has to be examined, but it needs to be done so with local input. And making sure that, we do something that's going to better the city for the future and not, create our city overdeveloped, too high, blocking the sun, all those things that everybody is fearful of. We need to show our citizens how this will better the city and not do those things if that's the route we want to go. Thanks.
Thank you. And Ken.
So basically what I've heard from all the candidates, when you talk about the height restriction, you're really looking at it in two areas. One is in the residential area and one in our central business district. The citizens absolutely spoke regarding the height restriction, and I agree with that, specifically as it relates to the residential area. From my understanding, we didn't want to become a Miami Beach with high rises all along the beaches. I don't believe, however, that we looked at the impact that it would have on our business district. And we can see what has happened as a result of that. Now, we've been talking about looking at the increasing the height downtown. I will tell you, I've talked to many business leaders and investors, and they will tell you the same thing, that has inhibited growth downtown. So I think for the viewers tonight, they do need to understand that that is just one of the reasons that we're not getting the investment downtown. That being said, that doesn't mean we need to have a height to infinity. As Chris alluded to, I would support it if it is within the holistic vision plan that the CRA is supposed to be coming up with here at the end of the year. How does it fit in? I would not at all be agreeable to increasing the height restriction if it creates a legal slippery slope to have an impact in our residential area. So we need to be absolutely sure, if we move forward, and the we being the vote of the citizens, increase the height downtown, that there is no slippery slope that can move out to the residential section. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next rotation will be Fernando Meza, Francis Pavlovsky, Ken Marsh, Chet Stokes, Chris Hoffman, and Janelle Wilson. And the question is, which you guys were sort of talking about earlier, parking. Do you believe Jacksonville Beach has a parking problem? If so, please explain what you would do about it. Fernando.
Jacksonville Beach is very unique. We are a quiet, very quaint town in the winter during the week, but in the spring and summer and the weekends, we are a population of 50 to 100,000 people that come in and visit. Parking becomes an issue then. I know parking garage has been in the talks, has been in the works. We had the city added more parking lot right behind the Ritz. The last thing that we want to see, not just as residents, but elected officials in the city, is that parking, the cars, the visitors, translate over to the residents, parking in neighbors' yards. That's the last thing that we want to do. And right now, with the amount of growth that Jacksonville Beach is seeing from empty lots becoming new homes and becoming new businesses, we have to make it easier for the residents get on bikes or on golf carts so they can transport themselves and do a free emission vehicle, exercising, creating more bike lanes, creating a more pedestrian safe environment, adding some crosswalks. giving the residents more opportunities to get on their feet, on their bikes, instead of getting in their cars to go eat out here in Jacksonville Beach. If we could provide that environment and even more, I think we could slow down a little bit of the parking and we just focus on the visitors that come here and park.
Thank you. Francis?
So that is one of my fiery Francis moments that has been seen in City Hall through CRA. So I feel like I should explain that I do seriously believe that you can utilize a parking and beautiful or multi-use building that includes all the parking we need to support a couple of our downtown areas. And not only will that help us direct traffic, but can also help us get some vehicles off of First Street, which is supposed to be mainly pedestrian. But I want to take it past downtown, because if you look at our comprehensive plan, what I'd actually ultimately love to see in downtown and just Jacksonville Beach as a whole is this idea of community and getting people out of their houses, but also for our visitors to have a place to park, to utilize the trolley that we have, to utilize the beach's buggies you have. The comprehensive plan actually has words or an idea of having parking, centralized parking on the north end and the south end that people can park at, and they can ride our alternate forms of transportation throughout the beaches. If we create something like that and we can combine some kind of bike trails, bike rentals, little whatever kind of thing you want, and they have options to enjoy all of the beaches and our 4 miles of coastline, that would be phenomenal. So I do believe that you can use parking as an incentive. You can use parking garages as a way to control traffic. And I think that if you can do them right, you can control some crime because you're centralizing where all those areas are. That's just my opinion.
Thank you. Ken?
Yes, in my opinion, we do not have a parking problem. What we have is a vision plan problem. That if we create the vision plan as it was laid out in 1987 and 2007, and what I hope will be the last iteration, that's going to tell us where we need it in the future. And folks that have known that I'm running for council will say, well, what am I going to do to change the downtown? Well, once we get the plan and we say let's just say it's going to look like this, to put this back up, there's strategies on how to get there. And along with that strategy is the increasing your parking capacity. I am not an advocate of a build it and they will come strategy. A parking garage, because I was part of those meetings, is somewhere in the vicinity of 10 million bucks. If you go down to downtown right now, Monday through Thursday, mostly from sunup to sundown, it's a ghost town. I don't believe the build it and they will come strategy will work. However, if you have a plan that the city is committed to, let's call it the 2045 plan, that has short-term strategies, long-term strategies, what that means is you get to a tipping point that Campeche Bay has a new restaurant and we get the J&J restaurant and maybe we get 2 more restaurants. That becomes a tipping point that says, I don't know where that is, but you can figure that out and do the analytics to tell you where that is. And then you say, you know what? It's worth paying $10 million now because we're going to get an return on investment from it. So I am about establishing a plan and creating strategies to that and making sure parking is part of that strategy. Thank you.
Thank you. Chet?
So we're always going to have a vision plan because we're always going to be looking towards the future. One thing in our most recent plan is they severely underestimated the number of vehicles in the city. In fact, they said by, I believe, 2030, our population would be lower than it is now in Jacksonville Beach. So they've always severely underestimated. So I think you have to look at it from 2 different ways. From a resident perspective, I don't think we have a parking problem. From a visitor perspective, there might be a little bit of a problem, because we as residents, we utilize more forms of transportation than just vehicles. You know, if I'm going to go to the downtown from 33rd South where I live, I'm going to ride a bike. I'm going to take a scooter. My whole family is going to do that. If you're coming from across the ditch, another state, another city, you're going to need to drive into Jacksonville Beach. You're going to need to look for parking. So, you know, for visitors, you know, one thing I think that we should definitely look into is parking garages. You know, it's been a sore subject for a lot of people because they think they're just going to build a big, ugly, gray building. That's not the case. You can look all over the country and see beautiful landscaped garages, mixed use garages. There's a lot that we could really do to create, you know, some good parking and bring an additional source of revenue into the city. One thing I do think that we have gotten a little too involved in, though, is parking. You know, right now, Jacksonville Beach owns a lot of parking lots in our downtown, and they're just spread out one floor. You know, I think we got to kind of take a step back and look at the value of the land that we have, and that we're definitely not getting a return on that value by surface parking. Thank you.
Thank you. Chris.
Thank you. So my flip answer to does Jacksonville Beach have a parking problem is, do you mean we have too much parking or we don't have a parking spot right in front of where you want to go? And with regards to downtown, in a lot of ways, we do have too much parking because it's really only utilized at certain times. So a sunny day at the beach during the summer and after 10 o'clock on a Friday or Saturday night, those parking lots will be full. But you go down there right now, you go down there for happy hour tomorrow, you would be waiting in line to get into Beach's Town Center, but you can park anywhere you want in Jacksonville Beach. And I think that in a lot of ways, the requirements for parking and the discussion of parking has stifled the creative development downtown. So for example, restaurants coming into downtown without having dedicated parking, it makes it very hard to attract a high-level restaurateur if they don't think their clientele will have parking, even if it is a ballet lot. It's also been really tying up the community redevelopment agency. A lot of discussions, even at the city council level, really devolve into discussing parking. And if we can, not that we shouldn't consider parking, but if we can take this massive need for parking out of the equation, I think it's going to allow us to be a lot more creative in how we approach downtown and how we approach downtown's future. I have long been an advocate for, anybody who knows me on council knows, for bike racks. As Chet mentioned, almost everyone in Jacksonville Beach could ride their bike downtown. I'd love to be able to go down there any time of day and eat any meal of the day within view of the ocean on my bike. Why shouldn't we be able to do that? We live in a coastal town. So bikes, shared ride services like Ubers and low-speed vehicles, I think, are the future of our community, and I think those should be taken into consideration. The only way that I would support a parking garage downtown is if we knew we would commit to get it full, and that's by leasing out spots to restaurants and to employees.
Thank you. And Janelle.
Okay, good question again. As Fernando said, we really don't have a parking problem in the downtown area except on the weekends and during the summer when everybody's coming to the beach. Because we provide more parking, everyone comes to Jacksonville Beach. They don't go to Atlantic Beach or Neptune Beach because there's no parking. So having said that, I think we do have a lot of parking if you balance it out over the day and night time crowds. But then thinking about the parking garage situation, the city and the redevelopment agency several years ago did kind of purchase a property that we had as like a placeholder for a parking garage. I think that was before it was pre 35-foot height limit. After that, the developers and people that we would come in and have look at that had said, it's not feasible if it's only 35 feet. It would have to be higher than that to make the numbers work on a parking garage. So that's the main reason I believe that we haven't done so already. But it's something that I think we could still look into, be creative with it. Another thing about parking is our neighborhoods. And I think every neighborhood, obviously the older buildings that don't have as much parking as the newer buildings do, or maybe some of the newer buildings don't have parking either. But especially in the summer and south end of the beach, down where Chet lives and down in my area, people park all along the streets, the sidewalks. I mean, it's hard to get through the street to drive because you've got a whole lane blocked by cars that are parked there. So I think we need to readdress that and maybe put no parking signs up in certain areas that are heavily trafficked. Also, looking into low-speed vehicle parking places that would not take up as much space, because there are more and more low-speed vehicles that we need to address and be aware of. And then public awareness of going downtown if you ride your bike or Uber or something. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, our next rotation will be Chet Stokes, Ken Marsh, Janelle Wilson, Chris Hoffman, Francis Pavlovsky, and Fernando Meza. And the question is, you knew this was probably coming at some point, COVID-19. What, if anything, should the city of Jacksonville Beach be doing to address the impacts of COVID-19 on the residents and businesses of our community? Chet?
So I think the biggest impact we may see is financial. As a business owner, I've taken a big hit this year. We talked about protecting our employees. That was probably the biggest hit, was keeping our employees. So looking forward, COVID is definitely, that's where we're going to be our biggest hit financially. And because of that, I think we need to look at alternate avenues to bring in some more revenue to the city. I mentioned businesses, looking at a combined effort from the beaches. I think the biggest one that we suffered from this year was closing down a lot. I think that had a huge negative impact on our businesses, our local businesses especially. The best thing that we have here at the beaches is we have a lot of local businesses, and a lot of those were closed by executive orders, et cetera, and weren't able to open up and operate. I'm hoping that we continually get out of this situation. We're now into phase 3. I'm thankful for Governor DeSantis for getting us to that point, allowing us to continue to open up. But I think we need to really open up. Our children are back in schools. I think that it's time that we get back together. I think it's time that council gets back together. We're getting to a safer point. We know how to operate safely now. The mask thing is continuing for 30 more days. We'll see what happens in 30 days, and just continue along the path. We're being safer as individuals. We're more aware. We're more educated on what's happening. And so I think we just need to keep opening up and keep getting our economy back on track, especially locally.
Thank you. Ken?
Yes, hindsight's 2020 on this COVID. We didn't have a playbook when this thing came around. So obviously it was pretty draconian when we shut down entirely. I think we've learned now that we can coexist in a manner that can be safe, as long as we got folks that are complying with guidelines of masks and washing their hands and social distancing, and allowing businesses to stay open. So where we are today seems suitable to me. However, I think there should be lessons learned from this. And I think it's lessons learned for our local businesses. I quite frankly was puzzled that when we shut down and had our restaurants go to takeout, that there wasn't an easy way for our local residents to know which restaurants you could buy from. They had to hunt and peck. And I think we as City Hall could have been more partners with our local businesses and try to create, using technology, something that says, because this was a moving target. Oh, we're doing takeout. No, we're doing outside. Well, some are doing takeout, some are doing outside. So with technology, we could have made it easier for folks to know what the local businesses were doing. And I hope that that is a lesson that we learn if we ever have a COVID incident again. So anyway, I think we're okay where we are today. It appears like we're coexisting pretty well, but I hope we can do better learning the lessons. Thank you.
Thank you. Janelle?
Okay, this is a good topic. We really, as a city, don't have a lot to do with it because it comes down from the governor, and then of course Duval County Mayor Curry kind of invokes some of the rules that we had. There are a couple of things though that I would like to address that the city could have done outside of the financial impact that it's going to have on us because of the number of businesses that have shut down or have been closed for so long. But when the pandemic started, everything closed down. When they started reopening to let people do takeout, a lot of these small restaurants and everything got banner signs that they had made, put up, "We're open for takeout." And the city came along and said, "Hey, that's an illegal sign. You can't do that. You have to take it down." Well, that was the only way that you would know which ones were doing takeout, which ones were doing maybe outside seating. If they didn't have a sign, you wouldn't know unless you actually went to that business. So that's something that we could have done better, I believe. Another issue that more recently is the fact that the city of Jacksonville in the last few weeks, it was only like the last week or so, and Fernando can attest to this, that all of our beaches, restaurants, and bars had to close at midnight, even if they had a late night permit that allowed them to be open 12 to 2 because of the pandemic. And that came from the city of Jacksonville Beach. It did not come from Mayor Curry, because what was happening, the people were, instead of coming to the beaches to eat and dine and then stay later for entertainment or to go out and have a drink, they were staying across the Intercoastal Waterway, or the beach's residents were going across the Intercoastal Waterway so that they could eat and then stay and hang out afterwards. Because if you've got to close at midnight, then you're going to start shutting down at 11:30, and then so they go across the Intercoastal. So we lost out. Our businesses lost out big time because of that. So that could have been better. Thank you.
Thank you. Chris?
Thank you. I wanted to address a few things that we actually are doing that I think are very positive in response to helping our community, because I think that one of our challenges with the city is that we don't share as much of the positive things that are happening, and which is something that I fully believe should be addressed going forward through communications with our community. But the City Council approved raising the Beaches Energy Cares Fund, which is a fund that's administered through BEAM to help people pay their electric bills. So that's something that is direct to the citizens who maybe just are having a rough month or two. I think we even expanded the criteria that people could get that assistance more frequently. And that's money that will be able to stay in the pocket of our citizens and our beaches energy customers. The other thing that we did was we laxed the requirement on grease traps for those bars that needed to get a restaurant license in order to operate. So if they're just microwaving Hot Pockets, they don't need a grease trap, and that's something that our city was able to waive for the time being while they were under those restrictions. The other thing that we did was help restaurants that were putting dining outside. One of the challenges with regards to parking, and I should have mentioned it earlier with downtown, is that the parking requirements really prohibit a big amount of outdoor dining because it increases your seating by so much. So we relaxed our requirements on parking so that people could set up tables outside for diners in order to comply with the restrictions from the state and local governments. And then in terms of the temporary signage, we did stop enforcing the temporary signage laws for those restaurants and businesses. I personally helped found Beaches 2.0, which was a private endeavor with a local marketing firm here in Jacksonville Beach to help amplify that message from our small businesses in order to let people know that they're open or what their operational capacities are. And that really supported our small business community.
Thank you. Francis?
So in regards to COVID, I understand that the 3 mayors of our beaches decided to make sure that we were either just as strict or a little more strict so that we weren't the place where people went to get away and bring whatever germs they brought with them. I do believe in the short term that was smart. I do believe that it was good thinking that if the Jacksonville area, everything closed at 12, and if we stayed open till 2, that we would be encouraging people to come to the beaches, and we would have a bigger breakout, right, at least in the beginning. I do believe that that was a smart move. There is a financial impact, not just for our downtown area, but as a whole and as a country, as you guys know. So for me, I just have to echo what everybody else has said. I think that it's more a matter of being more understanding, being helpful to your neighbor, and you bringing community. I will say that I did feel during the whole, I did as much as I possibly could. I think I ordered more takeout food and ate out more during COVID and got my COVID 30 because I was trying to support the local businesses that I wanted to make sure were still around. I mean, I had so many pizza family meals, I can't even explain. So that being the case, I did feel bad for like V's Pizza because they couldn't sit outside because they didn't have the parking lot to build outdoor seating. And I did feel bad for some other areas where they felt like their signs were being taken. So for me, if this ever happened, it would be nice to have a playbook, just like Ken says, about what things we would waive and how we would encourage people to treat each other. Because I will say that some of our enforcing of codes and some of our can sometimes be not as pleasant as you would like them to be, especially when everybody's hurting. So that's my thoughts.
Thank you, Francis. And Fernando.
I need more than 2 minutes to answer this question, just to be honest, because it affected not just me, coworkers, friends around not just Jacksonville Beach, Neptune Beach, Atlantic Beach business owners. And, you know, I'm not a reactive kind of individual. I'm a proactive guy. And when this happened, we were all abiding by the rules. The governor was laying out his restrictions. We were abiding by it. He made a little leniency on doing to-go drinks. I went above and beyond when we were selling these to-go drinks, that they were sealed and they were not open, so we wouldn't get in trouble. In some cities, when this all happened and certain businesses started to open back, they were minimized on capacity, and they had to extend their patio seating. Beach Hut did it. It helped them. I think the city could have taken more of a proactive approach in the beginning when everything started to open up, and become a little bit more lenient on these ordinances and codes that were in place. The last thing that the city government should do is hinder on a business if it's already struggling for something that is beyond our control. You know, COVID-19 is something that we have not ever experienced, and I hope we never do. But if I'm in office, I want to take proactive measures, proactive codes to make sure we help the businesses that are struggling because they're shut down. Thank you.
Thank you. We are at the 8:17 mark. We still have a number of questions here, but in order to give each of you time for your your closing statement, I want to go ahead and allow that to happen now. And basically, it's about, what differentiates you from your opponent. Why should people vote for you versus your opponent? Why are you running for office at this time? I mean, that's a compounded question, but I want to give you an opportunity to, as I said, give that closing statement. So we will, rotation will be Chris Hoffman, Janelle Wilson, Fernando Meza, Francis Pavlovsky, Ken Marsh, and Chet Stokes. Okay, so we will go ahead and start with Chris.
Is it still a 2-minute?
Yes,
Okay.
60 minutes.
Thank you. I was wondering if we were going to go into lightning round for the next 6 questions. But again, thank you so much for this opportunity, and for all of the attendees. I really appreciate you all taking time out of your evening to really learn about the candidates and to hear about issues that are important to you and important to our community. I have been so honored to serve this community. If you know me, you know that I come from a long military heritage where service to country is compulsory in our family. So serving our community in this way has been an honor. The Navy brought us here. Love of Jacksonville Beach kept us here, and my entire family lives here now. And this is our hometown for the rest of our family's life. I bring an enthusiastic energy to the future of Jacksonville Beach, and I work hard every day standing here at the intersection of our community's past here at the museum and our community's future with City Council. So it's a really great place to be. It gives me tremendous optimism for the future of our community. I'm very fortunate to be supported by FOP Lodge 17, the Jacksonville Firefighters Union, as well as Councilman Rory Diamond, some of my colleagues, Councilmember Nichols, Doherty and Vogelsang, as well as a future colleague, Councilmember-elect Dan Jansen, and the former mayor of Jacksonville Beach, Reed McCormick. They all know that I'm going to work hard, that I'm going to bring that energetic enthusiasm to the future of our community, and I'm so proud to have their support, and I hope that after this forum, I will have your support too. Thank you. Vote Chris Hoffman. Please early vote. Or vote by mail. Don't wait until November 3rd. I encourage you to go ahead and vote as soon as you're ready to make that decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Janelle Wilson.
Thank you. Because of my business experience and 40 years of being at the beach, and because of my service on the Jacksonville Beach City Council, I have the experience and leadership ability to guide our city out of this pandemic that's caused by the COVID virus. And I also have the experience to make Jacksonville Beach an even better place to live, work, and to play. We've already talked about some of our priorities. Public safety, that's definitely number one. To involve the citizens is another thing, and to balance the budget without raising millage rates. But another thing that I can bring to the table, because of serving on various boards downtown, the Planning Commission and other boards, and I know a lot of the council people on the City Council, Mayor Curry and all, I have the ability to help guide us in getting our fair share from Jacksonville. We have several mutual things that we have to deal with together. One of those is Penman Road improvements, which is in the works already, but I would like to continue to work with the City of Jacksonville on that. Of course, number 1, 2 with the City of Jacksonville is the pier, expediting the rebuilding of the pier. Another one that I would like to address with them in more detail is the Mike McHugh boat ramp. It is in such disrepair and neglect. And a lot of that was because of the pandemic, but that needs some attention. It needs some monies and dollars spent on that, improvements there. And the road getting down to that is just, a lot of times it's underwater at high tide. Those are areas that the City of Jacksonville is responsible for, that we need to work with and try to get them to pay more attention to us at the beach. And then one other thing is that hasn't been mentioned, just to throw in, is the lifeguards on the beach and the south end of the beach. This whole summer, we did not have lifeguards on the south end of the beach past about 16th Avenue South. So we need lifeguards on all of our beaches. That's a part of our public safety issue. So anyway, I am Janelle Wilson, running for mayor of Jacksonville Beach, and I hope I can count on your support. Thank you.
Thank you. Fernando?
Well, thank you, Beaches Watch. To the attendees watching this right now, if you did not know who to vote for in the beginning, I hope you have made your choice, and I hope I have earned your trust, your confidence in your vote. And if you still have any more questions, please feel free to reach out, not just to me, but the other candidates too. Go to their website. I have been lucky and blessed to live in Jacksonville Beach. I feel honored to be here. I want to continue my service to this country by serving this community. I've been lucky to be endorsed by the FOP, Lodge 17, Councilmember Rory Diamond, the Fire Union, the Northeast Florida Association of Realtors, and of course, Sheriff Mike Williams. I value those endorsements, and I could feel the pressure of doing a good job once I get elected. On November 3rd, I am asking for your vote, for your confidence. I do not promise you that I will be a perfect city council member, but you will have a voice, you will have an ear. We may not agree on every issue that may come up to vote, but I do want you to know that I will be here every day working hard to represent you and the businesses of this community and to promote not just public safety, but the betterment of this community, not just for the next 4 years, but for 40 decades and for future generations to come. I ask for your vote on November 3rd. Fernando Meza for Jacksonville Beach City Council, seat 1 at large. God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Francis?
I also want to thank everyone who is listening today and taking the time out to educate themselves on seeing who aligns best for them and who they think would better represent them, because that's what we are here to do. I will say that having spent 30 years in the community, like I said, from a teenager, young adult, young family, business owner, I do believe I can bring a perspective from multiple viewpoints to council, which will help me better plan for where we go going forward. I've also shown my dedication to the community by being active volunteer and a big supporter of local charities and encouraging that through my employees as well. I believe that my experience on the CRA gives me valuable knowledge on how the downtown can be, as well as my experience on the Citizens Police Academy has given me a broader understanding of exactly what the challenges are that we have to address and how decisions on council and on boards affect our police department. As a whole, I just want you to know I like to focus on community. I know that's my main priority as a whole. If it comes down to the downtown area, I want to make sure that every decision has been vetted or considered. There are 3 different things in mind. 1, does it support local business development? Will our locals enjoy it more or as much as our tourists? And was the original intent of it? And does the original intent still apply today? I am asking for your vote in November 3rd or earlier if you choose to vote earlier. You can find more information about myself on my website, which is www.francispavlovsky.com, or you can find me on Facebook by searching Francis Pavlovsky 2020 candidate. And I do thank you all for tuning in today.
Thank you. Ken?
Thank you, Beaches Watch, and thank you to the audience that are trying to get informed here. You had the task tonight to try to figure out who was the best candidate. I hope that after you've heard at least seat 3 at large, that you've determined that I'm the best candidate. I'm going to close the way I opened. This is about experience. Council is not the place to have on-the-job training. I've spent 11 years as a citizen advocate at council. I know what they do. I didn't just go. I read about all the material that was involved in the meeting, so I knew what was on the agenda. So I've got 11 years of experience as a citizen, understanding what's going on in council chambers. Again, we've got Chris and Janelle, 8 years they've been on council. They know me very well, and I know them very well. So I didn't just fall off the turnip truck. I've been there. I've got 36 years experience in the corporate world, handling multi-million-dollar budgets. That's what we have here at Jacksonville. We talked about the downtown. In 2017, I created the Jacksonville Beach Downtown Vision Coalition. You can go on Facebook right now. It has close to 400 followers. And that's about transforming our downtown, because we were not talking about the 2007 vision plan, which was on the shelf collecting dust. You have heard a lot of the folks tonight talk about the downtown vision, and I'm happy for that. But it was in February 2019 that Chris Hoffman, as Mayor Pro Tem, said, let's talk about the vision plan that Ken Marsh has been talking about for all these years. So my point here is I've been there for you. I hope that I've earned your trust. I hope that my participation and my experience is meaningful to you and that you will vote for me. Vote Ken Marsh. Thank you.
Thank you. And Chet?
Thank you very much, Beaches Watch, for hosting this forum. And thank you to everyone who's watching and will watch this forum. You know, I'm going to tell you why I think I should be elected. And I think it's because I'm looking towards the future of Jacksonville Beach. I'm ready to tackle the future of Jacksonville Beach. I'm a proactive person. I'm built on hard work. And I plan to bring common sense to our government. It's one thing I feel is lacking from the bottom to the top of government a lot of times is common sense. I bring business sense. We're debt-free right now, and I plan to keep it that way. I may not have years of experience, and I've been working since I was 14, raised on hard work. I have a large network that has a large amount of experience in business. And I can call them up anytime and get advice, get answers, and I'd be happy to share that with everybody here. You know, I want to create a council of action. A lot of us, we can sit here and talk all that we want about what we believe, but at the end of the day, we actually have to get it done. And I'm an actionable person. I will get things done. I will create a council of action. I won't just sit here and talk about the issues. I will get them done. You know, I'm very proud to be endorsed by a wide variety of people. I've been endorsed by the Northeast Florida Association of Realtors for being pro-business, pro-family, and creating a great environment for our families. Been endorsed by FOP 17, the Jacksonville Association of Firefighters. Those that we trust to keep us safe, they trust me to get the job done. And I'm very pleased to be endorsed by Councilman Nichols on Jacksonville Beach City Council now, and Jacksonville City Councilman Rory Diamond, who represents us here at the beach. They believe that I will get in, get the job done, and do it to the best of any of our abilities, because at the end of the day, all of us are going to have on-the-job training, except for the mayor candidates, because we haven't been on council before. Vote Chet Stokes. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you all candidates for participating in tonight's forum. It's amazing the quality, the caliber that you bring to the table, and Jacksonville Beach residents should be very proud that you have stepped up and put your name in the hat to take on this responsibility. It's a huge responsibility, but it's one that it sounds like you were all committed to. So kudos to all of you for doing that. And I want to thank our Beaches Watch Programs Committee who organized this candidate forum. As you can imagine, this takes a lot of hard work behind the scenes, and hopefully all the participants, attendees found this to be informative and helpful. As I said earlier, tonight's forum has been recorded, and we will be posting a link to the video on our Beaches Watch website. So be sure to visit the website, which is on beacheswatch.com. It will have the candidates' answers to our written questions regarding the Jacksonville Beach issues and concerns as well. So that gives you even more insight as to their positions. Also, please, we encourage you to take the short survey to give us your feedback. As always, we want to make sure that the programs we're bringing you is informative and timely. If you would like to receive emails about Beach's issues and our monthly programs, please provide your email address as well when you take the survey. We also invite you to visit our website and join or renew your membership to Beaches Watch, as you guys are our supporters. You help us bring these programs now through Zoom, which is an expense, but we're happy to do that because that's our mission, and we want to continue to be the good stewards for our Beaches residents. If you do renew now, your membership will be good through 2021, so you get a few extra months there. Early voting. So early voting will be held Monday, October 19 through Sunday, November 1st from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. at our Beaches Branch Library. And as you know, the general election will be held Tuesday, November 3rd. So please either vote early or vote on November 3rd. Again, we appreciate all of our attendees. We appreciate our candidates for participating, and I wish you luck, continued luck on your campaign trail, and everyone stay safe. Thank you.